Beyond Emissions podcast, brought to you by Soligent, the largest pure-play solar distributor in the Americas. Welcome to the place to be for renewable energy news, discussions, the community. It's all happening right here at the Soligent YouTube channel, also as well, Spotify, iTunes, etc. We're going to be on all sorts of platforms coming up. Very exciting. Hi, I'm Josh Brum, Energy Storage Manager here at Soligent, and of course your host of the Beyond Emissions podcast. And of course every single week as we have experts from around the world on the Beyond Emissions podcast, the goal is creating a world that is beyond emissions. And that's what we're doing in this renewable energy industry that we're in. We're not just making money, we're not just passing time, we're making a difference every single day. Every time you install energy storage, or you install solar for somebody, or renewable source of energy production, you're creating that world that is beyond emissions. You're taking us one step closer. So thank you so much for participating, not only every week here in the show, but also as well as a member on our team here at Soligent in creating this emissions-free future. You're being a big part of this mission, and we're thankful that you are here. And of course, experts from around the world, Matt Ruttenberg from Fortress Power, one of the greatest energy storage companies on planet Earth, out of Pennsylvania. And of course, they're all throughout the United States, available here at Soligent. Fortress Power. Safe lithium iron phosphate battery systems for your homes, and also large commercial industrial opportunities. We are going to run the gamut today in our quest for educating ourselves as it pertains to energy storage. But let me ask you that question, that all-important question that, is the namesake of the program. And we open up every program with that question, so answer it as honestly as you can. What does a world that is beyond emissions mean for you? Welcoming our guest to the program, welcome Matt Ruttenberg at the Beyond Emissions podcast from Fortress Power. Welcome, Matt. Good to hear from you, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. That was such a nice introduction. Thank you, Josh. This is just very exciting to be on your podcast. I mean, I think it's very timely, especially, we're based out of, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia, but a lot of our C&I division of our company is based on the West Coast. And, we have Hurricane Hillary right now that we've been battling, and this is a very interesting time where all of a sudden you're having these climate events that are popping up that are kind of, freaking everybody out. So, I mean, we haven't had a tropical storm hit Southern California since 1939. This is unprecedented territories that we're getting into. So, anyways, you were talking about what is, moving to a sustainable future mean for me as far as, energy and green infrastructure. I think, we have a really degrading grid, specifically in California, but as California goes, so goes the nation. I think we have a kind of a falling infrastructure across the nation. And now we're moving towards a more electric, future where we're bringing on a lot of EV vehicles, which is great. We're moving off of fossil fuels. But in doing so, our infrastructure of our grid, our electric grid, is not going to be able to sustain this. So I think for me, when I think about the future, I think about microgrids. I think we got to be looking at individual buildings that can be their own green power plants. Whether these are stadiums or hospitals, as much as kind of more decentralized. Although that can be like a scary word, but just independent grids that can mostly function on their own, that then are supported by a larger grid that's there when it's needed. Because we've got to really take the pressure off of the larger grids that run the country that span the country, I should say, not run. That can be misconstrued. But there's major electric grids that run throughout the country, and they're really stressed. But yet they're critical for delivering power to folks, which you need. But the idea to have these individual localized green power plants kind of all over the world, all over the country, and really, hopefully this is a model for the rest of the world that can support green energy on site where these buildings can run on their own, and yet at the same time, gosh forbid something's going on, they're still supported by the larger infrastructure of the grid at large.
Well, Matt Ruttenberg, Fortress Power, energy storage solutions available right here at Soligent. Matt, you're an expert. I work with you on the regular, so we are just so blessed to have you and your perspective here today. You're absolutely correct. Microgrids, the future. It's not replacing the grid, it's adding to it. It's adding that independent capacity. That's really American, isn't it? The idea that Americans can take care of themselves. Now, for the naysayers, though, that say we are a long way off from being able to make this happen, getting off of oil and fossil fuels, that's a pipe dream, Matt. That's what we hear, right? But the reality is, at one time, getting off of horse-drawn carriages, are you insane? And when's the last time you've seen it except for during Christmas time going down Main Street giving people rides? Talk a little bit about that.
I think... Well, okay, you're saying like the pushback of people saying there's no way to get off of that.
In other words, creating microgrids right now. You're creating that first step in the journey of 1,000 miles. You're doing it. We're doing it.
Sure.
Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's pie in the sky. This is a realistic goal that we're working towards, right?
Absolutely, but microgrids have been around for a minute. This isn't something that it's only still in its infancy stage, but these are tried, tested, infrastructure projects that have going back. I don't know when the first microgrid started, but they've at least been around for 10 plus years. So this isn't something that is brand new today. This is tried and tested, infrastructure and technology. You're looking at, first off, PV or solar panels. I mean, Jimmy Carter, the president, put PV, solar panels on the White House. So, solar's been around for a very long time. Obviously, over the last 20 years, that this has really taken off, and it continues to do so, and the costs keep coming down, which is incredible. But as far as microgrids are concerned, all a microgrid really is just taking these distributed energy resources, so different generations of power. So if you have solar, well, that's generating power from the sun. Or if you have, like a generator, and you can say, well, generators run on diesel, and sure they do, but they also run on clean energy as well. So there's renewable generators. There's things called CHP systems, combined heat and power systems. And then you have geothermal. And geothermal has been around for a long, long time. You have wind farms. And so you can take all these different sources of power, whatever makes sense to the specific facility based off its location, what you can do at this site. And then you kind of are able to, manage and balance these different forms of power sources. And, so a lot of microgrids, and if you really get into the weeds of it, they're not 100% renewable, but there's even, sometimes it's more of an 80-20 split between 80% renewable and 20%, fossil fuel. But that would be just a tremendous, advancement right there. If you don't even necessarily have to be 100% renewable. I mean, I'd like to eventually get there, but an 80-20 ratio is a great start. And what we do see with these microgrids is that the best ROI right now, honestly, is usually about an 80-20 split, where you're still pulling power from the grid about 20% of the time. And then if you really want to be 100% off, you start losing that return. The return's still good, but it doesn't pencil as well. Whereas the more you try to get up towards 100% completely, renewable. But, some people have mandates, which is great. You have all kinds of incentives from, the government, and sometimes there's mandates, like corporate mandates, ESG mandates, where, they can market this as, wow, we're 100% renewable. So, oftentimes this can also come from the consumers themselves, but I don't know. I feel like I went off on a weird.
No. You're the viability of microgrids. I'm excited to have you here. Thank you very much for being here today, folks. We are in for a treat. An expert, a friend of mine, a friend of the show, and of Soligent and you, Matt Ruttenberg, with us today from Fortress Power. Fortress Power, energy storage solutions customized for you, residential or commercial and industrial. Click on the link below to find out more. Matt, you're absolutely correct. It is viable, and it does not have to make up 100% of the power source. Does not have to be made up of renewable energy. It can be an 80-20 split. 80% less fossil fuels burned, that puts a big dent into what we're trying to do here. We understand it's not going to change tomorrow, but, some of the folks out there, they're thinking, okay, battery backup, grid intermittency. You were talking about the frequency because of climate change, et cetera, the frequency of these big storms. Hillary, this tropical storm that just hit California, looking at Palm Springs, they're underwater. It's a tough situation, and the grid goes down. Something hits a power line, and now you don't have power, and your fridges aren't working, or whatever it might be. But where folks sometimes forget to really make this a big point, and I think that you can speak to it because you work with these types of customers. Business owners, financial. I mean, there is Beyond Emissions is not just the environment or mitigating grid intermittency and having that independence when the grid goes down. It is all those things, but there are huge financial benefits for folks who go green, not just from incentives, et cetera, but a return on investment that happens. Unlike fossil fuels that we take out of the ground once, burn it once, and then we're done, renewable energy does it over and over and over again, and that is a huge financial benefit. You work with businesses. Talk a little bit about that. There's a real return on investment beyond what we're speaking to as it pertains to battery backup, the viability of microgrids, et cetera. I mean, there's a real financial benefit for folks, homeowners and business owners, right?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, you have the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, and, it really extended this whole ITC, this tax credit that the IRS is basically giving, whether it's homeowners or business owners. You do any kind of a renewable project, and I'm sure your audience is well aware of this. You're going to get 30% as a tax break back. This is real cash that you're going to be holding and keeping in your pocket. So already you got 30% there, and that goes out for the next 10 years, and then it'll scale back down. But before we were looking at this for the longest time, this 30%. I remember it got down to 26%, and then it was about to go to 22%, and then the next year was going away. And so we extended these incentives. And this has now gone on to where now, churches can take advantage of this. The nonprofits can as well. So before it was kind of just for tax, people that were just paying taxes. Now this has been opened up a little bit for other types of, nonprofit organizations. But additionally, there's additional incentives. So, there's communities. They're called opportunity zones, and you get an additional 10% added on there. There's also things called energy communities. The energy community, the IRS, is looking at certain spots where they're very reliant on fossil fuels, and the unemployment rate, it meets a certain threshold. The combination of, fossil fuel kind of related environment plus the unemployment rate's really high, great. This is now called an energy community. And there's an additional 10% added on there. So, if you're a business, you could be looking at 50% right there, let alone you got your makers and your bonus depreciation where you can take all of this, like 50%, I believe, up in all, of all your depreciation in year one, and then the additional 50% over the next 5 years. This is very, there's a lot of incentives for businesses where it really helps to look at this. And so, like, for folks like us, there's other platforms and companies out there. We're not the only ones, but we'll bust out a full pro forma for you for your CFO that will take you through the life cycle of a renewable infrastructure project at your facility, whatever that is. It could be energy storage. It may not. Like a component. Usually we find that energy storage is like a critical backbone, but in certain scenarios it may not make sense, and we'll show that to you. But we'll do a full pro forma, and other companies should do this as well, where you can see the payback period. And it's one thing a residential customer, just kind of, they want to immediately see, okay. It's very emotional, I think, for residential customers because, one, it's really affecting their own personal, finances. Whereas a business, it's the finances of the business. Still very important, but there's a greater, I think, emotional play with a residential customer, and they've felt their bills doubling. And that's happened over the last 5 years. They're experiencing rolling blackouts, right? So from that perspective, I don't know that a pro forma really moves the needle for a residential customer, because I think that they're just so scared, angry at the utility, and a lot of folks are living paycheck to paycheck. So if there's any kind of a reduction in cost, it's very emotional for them. They just kind of sign up. Obviously, by all means, residential folks, please, work with and research the installers that you're working with. Clearly, if Soligent only, works with the very best, installers around. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably in a good space, because there's a lot of, oh gosh, there's some people knocking on your door, and these guys are coming from the like the timeshare salesman, right? These guys who would lie straight to your face, and you just got to be very careful
sir.
about.
Hello, sir. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm from Joe's Solar, and here's my clipboard, and I just want to let you know this little battery that's the size of a lunchbox, it's going to power your whole house when the grid goes down and work like magic. Sign right here.
Oh.
Not true.
Yeah.
Not true. No. Got to keep your eyes peeled for those folks, right?
Yeah, and they really do a disservice, and it kind of makes, I know Josh feels the same way. It makes your blood boil, because there's people struggling and hurting, and anytime that's the case, yes, there's an opportunity for a good opportunity for people to come in and provide a great service and take care of folks, but it also leaves people very vulnerable, and it's something that we battle in our industry. It's infuriating. But what's nice, why I also really like the commercial space is all those shysters, they can't get through the door. Even if they get the first meeting, they're sniffed out by the second one. And these are much longer sales cycles where, you're dealing with sophisticated financial folks that are going to do their research, that aren't, just making a decision on a whim, or are coming from an emotional standpoint. They're able to take their time, really look through everything and evaluate it properly. And in that scenario, these incentives are just tremendous for some of these, commercial customers. And think about it, if you're a cold storage facility, or even, like a grocery store, this is just one example, but not only are you, potentially getting, 50, 60, 70% of your of the cost of your green infrastructure project up front in year one, and you're kind of completely taking control. If you're adding in a battery, you're going to have the ability to provide resiliency. So, gosh forbid it, if you're dealing with customers in the public, your lights are going to stay on. You can do all these additional things. But if you have, goods that can go bad, think about all the product, your food that can spoil. What's the cost of your food spoiling, right? So there's all these additional costs that people don't factor into.
And let's also, Matt, let's also dovetail into that conversation. I'm so glad you're here. Matt Ruttenberg from Fortress Power with us today at the Beyond Emissions podcast by Soligent. I'm so excited that you're here. By the way, if you want to meet Matt and his team, they are going to be at booth number 3764. Fortress Power at the RE Plus Las Vegas event, September 11th through the 14th. On the 13th, Fortress Power, actually a big sponsor, a co-sponsor of the Top Golf Celebration happening, sponsored by Fortress Power, other partners, as well as Soligent, taking over all of Top Golf. Stop on by our booth, which is going to be over at 5949 or Fortress Power's booth 3764, and get a free entrance bracelet to be able to get into the Top Golf event, the celebration happening on the 13th. You guys rock. Let's dovetail into that real quick, Matt, as far as that return on investment, the financial side that you're talking about. Obviously, what does that cost if the grid goes down and all that spoilage in a grocery store? What's that cost of having the lights off and not being able to run a transaction on your computer system and helping customers as a business owner? All those are big costs. But day in, day out, when there is no power outage, that battery's not just sitting there waiting for an outage. Through Fortress Power's turnkey packages, the eSpire Mini 233 and 280, all available custom sized for you and your business here at Soligent. Click on the link below to find out more. Matt, peak shaving, demand charge relief, when those demand charges hit, those higher rates hit, if a business owner does not have an energy storage system that can do what the eSpire can from Fortress Power through Soligent, it does not have that technology available properly sized for them. I mean, there's amazing software inside of that eSpire system that can shave off those demand charges, right? I mean, that's all a cost that gets passed to us, the customer, through the goods and services, right, through higher prices. So business owners, I mean, what is happening with their business when they take on one of these systems? Are they paying those demand charges still, or how does that work?
Sure. So, and this is something that residential folks usually don't come across, but not only do you get charged from a business from the generation, the actual power you're using, but then additionally, there's this, and it's absolutely almost usury, but you get these demand charges. So how much power did you use at any one given time over, a 15-minute window? And what's insane is that, a company could use almost zero power, but they could have some crazy demand spike where they turn on some equipment for 15 minutes. The energy spikes like dramatically for a very short period of a window, and they actually get charged on that spike. And this can be tens of thousands of dollars a month, and it is time and time again we see this. And yet, when you look at the actual amount of power that they use very little, but they use a tremendous amount over a short period of time, and you get charged on that. So you get two different charges. You get your overall generation charges, and you also get your demand charges, and that's what we call these peaks. So if you have a very intelligent BESS or a battery energy storage system, and ours comes with a microgrid controller. It's a standard, a part of our package. So you have this very advanced AI software that can go in, and it can first off. So what we're doing is we're storing power, right? So whether it's PV on the roof or the carport, in addition to we can just pull power from the grid at really cheap hours, maybe at midnight or 2 a.m. We can pull power, intuitively make the best decision for the site for an ROI perspective, where we're pulling power, we're storing it, right? And then we're going to deploy it, and we're going to know when the facility, if it's a brewery, for instance, or some kind of a machine heavy operation. When you turn those machines on, those demand that energy spikes, And so what we can do is, when you go to turn on, if you're a Mr. Customer, you go to turn on your equipment, our microgrid controller, it's going to say, nope, we're pulling from the battery right now. So all the power that you're pulling to back up and support those heavy pieces of equipment, not coming from the grid. The grid's not seeing it. The grid's not feeling it. It's coming straight from your battery. Therefore, those traditional, very high peaks of power that you're going to get just brutally, just killed on, it goes completely away. We call it peak shaving. Okay, so that's one. Demand reduction or peak shaving. Additionally, you can do time of use or energy arbitrage, where, like I was saying, we maybe pull power at 2, 3 a.m. or at these times when it's the cheapest it can possibly be from the grid, and when the grid isn't stressed, right? So it's not just also about, it's like doing good for the overall community, like a stable grid, because it's not just about you, it's about your neighbor, it's about the other businesses on the block, right? So the idea that you can help not add to the stress of the grid, you can pull power at convenient times where it's very cheap, you can store that power and then deploy it, So we have those capabilities. All of our hardware comes installed, ready to go. So in the future, we're looking at things called virtual power plants. Ooh. Where it's great interactive with the utility, so that what happens when the utility gets really stressed, and they're going to start almost potentially going into rolling blackouts. Well, shoot, now all of a sudden the grid is going, oh my God, we need power right now, help. We have our microgrid controller. It says, Southern California Edison, here you go. Well, we have all these different facilities over here that, they have their demands, their demands are covered, the loads of their facilities are covered, but, oh shoot, we still got like 20-30% of power across these different energy storage systems. We got some extra power we can sell you right now. Why don't you give us a good rate for it? Boom. Not only are we going to help manage and lighten the load, where maybe we can eliminate a rolling blackout scenario, but our end user customers, our clients, are going to get paid really nice for that. So you should never look at energy storage as necessarily, these types of grid interactive services as, the steak of the meal. Like CEC
just approved it a couple weeks ago. I saw the CALSA sent out a note. Did you see that? So virtual power plants, that's not just a cerebral thing that we're talking about that may happen, may not happen. It's happening. Yeah.
It's happening, but it's at the very beginning. And we think programs are only going to get juicier for the end user client. And so, but whenever we were looking to design something, we always look at the grid interactive services as this wonderful cherry on the sundae. But you really want to look at what's most important to, a sophisticated, C&I commercial client. They're really worried about, for the most part, the grid going out. They want to make sure they got power. They want to make sure that they're covering their loads at their facility. They're focused on that first, and the cost of that. Can this energy storage system, can this microgrid, can this, green power plant cover all of that, and then additionally, if it can help, make the grid a little more secure, if they can make some additional money on that, then that's only, like I said, the cherry on the sundae. But, I think oftentimes what I come across is, commercial clients saying, oh, that's nice, that's cute, and by the way, very cool, and then their next question is, but wait a minute, like, is there going to be additional hardware that's going to, be needed for this? And no, it's the same microgrid controllers, same software. It's all part of our package. Just know that you're going to have the ability to, if you want, to turn that on. If we look at this and we say, hey, Mr. Customer, you're good here. Like, we got like an extra 20%. So when these emergency load reduction, events happen, you can participate. But we put it on the end user customer. If they want to sign up and then connect and allow SCE the ability to kind of tap into their batteries. But again, it's a scenario where we always look at it from the needs of the facilities first. What's the client really using this best system for? And then if Grid Interactive is a really nice additional, not afterthought, but opportunity, if that makes sense.
Fortress Power's Matt Ruttenberg with us today. Fortress Power Energy Storage Solutions available at Soligent. Click on the link below. Microgrids, IRA incentives, financial benefits, infrastructure, commercial, industrial, residential, energy storage, virtual power plants. We are running the gamut here today. September 13th, Celebration, one of our sponsors at Top Golf. Come party with us. Get a bracelet and stop on by Fortress Power's booth at the RE Plus Vegas show. 3764 is the Fortress booth number. You'll want to stop by and say hi and get your Celebration bracelet. Matt, it blows my mind how far we are along. You remember you've probably seen it on Facebook, right? By the way, folks, thanks for tuning in. Beyond Emissions podcast brought to you by Soligent. Looking at some of those posts on Facebook, Matt, recently, I saw one. It was a Radio Shack picture, and it had a camera on sale, X amount, and it had a audio recorder on sale, X amount, had a video player, X amount, had a radio, X amount, had a phone, and then all these Radio Shack deals. And everything on this special page was something that's now available on just the phone by itself, like making all of that irrelevant. And we've come so far with energy storage as well, right? It's no longer just get 8 6-volt batteries and wire them in series and get you in. And, now, I mean, this is like Star Trek, what Fortress Power is doing, especially in the commercial industrial space. Amazing for business owners. The technology in the eSpire Mini and the 280. You mentioned the microgrid controller, et cetera, but talk a little bit about the pieces of this bag of salad that we offer through Soligent, these turnkey Fortress Power battery energy storage system packages.
Sure, yes. So, first of all, there's a massive kind of there's an underserved market in the commercial space. So, you've had energy storage systems, and by the way, the costs, even just a few years ago were exorbitant. And just like with everything, with economies of scale and demand, the costs are just coming down and down and down, and it's really starting to make a ton of sense. And now with, the way the CPUC came down back on December 15th, and what happened with net energy metering 3.0 and that contract. And by the way, there's a lot of a lot of people are upset about it. I happen to be one as well. But there was an issue. There was this duck curve, right? So we did need to tackle that. And energy storage is a good thing to promote. I think maybe the CPUC did it a little too aggressively. I mean, I'm an energy storage guy, but I'm also more about, the overall health of the industry at large. And I would have preferred us to stay on NEM 2. I do think that is, I'm very vocal about that. And I think, but regardless, they did what they did. We're all a little frustrated. But now, now you need energy storage moving forward in NEM 3. It just, solar does not work. Unfortunately, it just does not pencil if you're not storing it on site. All your excess solar, you need to store in on-site energy storage and then deploy that. You really can't send that power to the grid because they're not going to pay you for it, and that's unfortunate. As far as our products at Fortress, there's this underserved C&I market. So you have residential systems that have been around for a long time, and you have these huge utility scale systems that big companies, provide full turnkey packages. But you're talking about, big solar farms that are, 100 megawatts of solar or in the smaller, but like 20 megawatt hours of energy storage, which is just, these massive shipping containers, like 20 of them deep, and so, first off, you got to look at the footprint of a facility, but regardless, there's, traditional commercial buildings and operations, they don't require, and they're not a candidate for massive systems. And so what happens is the engineering and the resources that are dedicated towards, like a car dealership is a great example, or some kind of, restaurant, or, even a stadium in a sense, believe it or not, is sometimes so much smaller than one of these really big systems. And so what ends up happening is these companies, all the money's on the larger projects. A stadium's actually a pretty big sized project, but you'd be surprised. Even the energy at a stadium sometimes is on the smaller footprint, but certainly at car dealerships and hospitals and different commercial buildings. So there's this massive, gap where the real turnkey solutions are in the much larger projects. The residential systems don't really serve these commercial systems, because you have single-phase residential systems. Yes, you can take a single-phase inverter and you can put one on each phase for a three-phase commercial. You can jerry-rig a residential system and kind of make a commercial system. But boy, are you signing up for a headache. There's a lot of troubleshooting. Issues will happen. It's a lot more temperamental, and it's just a very frustrating experience that we've seen. We came from the residential space, so we've seen this, right? What the commercial space needs is turnkey systems designed specifically for three-phase, 208 or 480 three-phase. There's not a jerry-rig commercial system, something that just goes. Like when you turn on the iPhone, it's intuitive. It just feels good. It feels right. You don't have to worry or think about it. And yes, you have larger systems that work like this, but those companies are not interested in serving this because they don't make as much money, and it's the same, hours of engineering. So at Fortress, we have this eSpire Mini. I love optionality, right? I want something that's going to handle just about anything. And our eSpire Mini kind of does up to a certain power class. So you can do, there's two really different voltages. There's 208 or 480, right, for three-phase. And the eSpire Mini provides both of those. And then it's an AC coupled or a DC coupled solution, all in one tiny box. There's not additional pieces of equipment here or there. One box. It's got an HVAC fire suppression built inside. It's got an automatic transfer switch for pretty much seamless islanding. So, there's a blackout, bam, 30 milliseconds, boom, the battery energy storage system on, providing all the power. This isn't uninterrupted, transfer times, which they say is like under 10 milliseconds. So, if this is like the section of a hospital or something, okay, we'll probably need to bring on a UPS in conjunction with that. So, okay, you'll have one additional piece of equipment right there. But, so we have 100 kW automatic transfer switch inside, and then we have AC and DC coupled options. The AC nameplate power rating scales from 30 kW up to 90 kW of power. I mean, that is low power for a commercial system, and yet to have a fully integrated solution at that low power class, it doesn't exist anywhere on the market. So also inside the eSpire Mini are microgrid controller, right? Then we have DC to DC charge controllers as well for the DC side that are 45 kW slots. So 45 kW, 90 kW, 135 kW. So that's 135 kW of PV. I mean, a lot of commercial systems that's about all they really need. Now, obviously, there's larger ones. We can go up to that's our larger offering. But imagine, a 100 kW PV system that you can, DC couple directly into a fully turnkey package that has a microgrid controller in it, has a 100 kW automatic transfer switch inside, has the HVAC fire suppression in there. And at Fortress, we didn't even mention this, but we only use LFP. It's the safest lithium-ion battery chemistry out there.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes.
Yeah, and we only use EV grade too. So there's grades. By the way, guys, really look at the warranty letters. Okay, I will not mention and disparage anyone. There's nothing to disparage about, but there are grades to LFP, right? So when you're using tier 1 EV grade, look at that, okay? Because we're providing like 8,000 cycles, okay? But when you start really getting into a storage grade LFP, that's an inferior. I'm not talking crap here. That's inferior. That's a lower quality LFP, and the cycle times are or not the cycle times, but the cycle life that might be more like 4,000 cycles.
Right, and folks, if we're doing one cycle per day, if you're a business owner or even a homeowner and you're looking at it from this perspective, 4,000 divided by 365, that's 10.95 years of life versus 8,000 cycles. The cycles a charge, full charge, discharge, and charge back up again. That's one cycle. So one cycle per day, 8,000 divided by 365 is 21.91 years of life, nearly double the life expectancy. So the quality of the cells of the lithium iron phosphate that you're buying, it makes a difference. I mean, that's what you're talking about, right, Matt?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So just really look at those warranties, see, because you'll be able to decipher. You'll go, okay, what quality is this? Is this telecom grade, which is the lowest grade? Is this storage grade, or is this EV grade? And I would say that you're leaving money on the table. Yes, if you're going to get an EV grade cell, it will. There's nothing you can do about it. It's the laws of physics, right? Like gold costs more than nickel. You can't get around that. But the point is that the ROI is probably really there for the end user client. If you're going to get almost a double or at least a 50% runway longer, oh man, it's going to pay for itself. Especially when you start thinking about all the incentives up front. If you're getting 50 to 60% up front, taking off the top where you're getting your money back, you might as well go that additional cost. It's not going to be double the cost. It's not even nowhere close to that, So you're going to get almost double the runway, or at least 50% of the runway. You really want to look at that, Look at those warranty letters, see, really the number of cycles there. It's a huge difference, So anyways, on the eSpire Mini, it's just very, there's just a lot of, there's a lot of utility there. On that. It's one footprint. It comes pre-wired. Basically, the only cost you have to do is you have to put down a concrete pad and you got to lay a little bit of conduit. Very minimal. So yes, you got to factor that in. But other than that, we provide our own engineer will come on. They'll commission the system to make sure everything's speaking up, ready to go. So yeah, that eSpire Mini comes pre-wired. It's awesome. Now, our larger system, our eSpire, the larger eSpire system, has 3 pieces of equipment. So it's not just one box. 3 pieces of equipment. We have a PCS, a bidirectional 125 kW bidirectional PCS to charge and discharge the battery. We have a 280 kWh battery bank by CATL. Now, it has liquid heating and cooling inside of it versus HVAC.
Yeah, and folks, the liquid cooling that's in that actually extends the life, doesn't it, Matt? In this.
Oh yeah, it actually has 3 times better thermal performance than a traditional HVAC system. It's incredible, and so it's a 280 kWh battery bank by CATL. Again, only the tier 1 EV grade LFP cells. And then the third piece of equipment that we have separated now because of the larger system and fitting things in, we have a microgrid just control cabinet. But what we can do here is that 125 kW PCS, we can parallel stack up to 5 of them in parallel up to a 625 kW nameplate AC power rating. And we can do up to 3 of the 280 kWh battery banks per each bidirectional 125 kW PCS. So, and again, folks, PCS is just a fancy term for inverters. Just keep that in mind. But we can do 5 of the battery cabinets for each inverter. We can do up to, 3 battery cabinets for each inverter. We can do 5 inverters. So we can do a total of 15 battery cabinets of 280 kWh, so a full max capacity of 4.2 megawatt hours.
Wow!
And it's now unlike the eSpire Mini, this is only an AC coupled system. Usually the larger systems are, so it is AC coupled, and it only outputs at 480 Y. So that's what we're doing there, 3-phase.
Amazing technology. Wow.
Yeah. It's a great thing. That's the larger eSpire. Now we're also looking at, and we can do, we're looking at becoming not exclusive, but there's really big EV charging manufacturers that are looking at this, because if you think about it, especially in California, where we're basically forcing EV vehicles down everyone's throats, I think it's a good thing. But we're also, the grid is not really, you have a very faulty grid. And so when you start thinking about, okay, we already don't generate enough electricity to provide power for, our citizens. We've got the world's 5th largest economy, 40 million plus people here in California, okay? We don't have the infrastructure in place currently to support our current needs, let alone all the electricity from these EV vehicles coming online in the next 10 years. What do we do, right? And it's very scary. So what we're looking at is oftentimes really long lead times to do power infrastructure upgrades with the utilities. And the EV market is experiencing this. So the EV market's going, holy crap, we need energy storage. Like, we need it kind of right now, even though there's a moratorium on demand charges, which is very cool for this EV adoption. Like right now, SCE, if you have a bunch of EV vehicles at an SCE, Southern California Edison site, they don't charge you demand for that. That's going away starting March 1st, 2024. So now all of a sudden, demand charges are going to come, which is only going to make energy storage systems even more critical. But what you can do right now, if you have sites, is you have these DC fast chargers. These things are like 120 kW, sometimes 300 kW in power draw. Well, they don't have the infrastructure currently there. It's two-year waiting periods. Okay, we put in a BESS system that we can then add a generator on or something, right, where we can actually now provide the power on site for this DC kind of fast EV rollout, right? And so anyways, we're looking at this, and where I'm going with this is that, big, DC fast chargers have a lot of power. So we're actually rolling out larger single power conversion systems with our supplier, where we can actually do, instead of going up to 625 kW of nameplate power rating, we can actually roll out a single power conversion system that's 1.5, 1.2 megawatt or 1.725. Don't quote me on that. I'll look it up in a second. I believe it's 1.725 megawatts of nameplate power rating. And the reason that this is a ubiquitous piece of equipment, we never anticipated. We were always wanting to stay in this kind of more lower power class, which is still good size. 500 kW, 625 kW of power on the AC side. But, the EV space needs it, with the lack of infrastructure there. And if we need to deploy these DC fast chargers, well, they need the power. So we need to bring in larger single power conversion systems. So that said, we do have the ability to jump up in a higher power class.
Who's the customer? Well. Who's the customer that's going to be buying this larger this system with more power? who's the customer that, I mean, is it an EV charging company that has EV chargers almost like gas stations on every corner now? I presume it's not going to all be at home. Someone's going to want to come up and fast charge their EV, their electrical vehicle, at a charging station somewhere and get it done quick. I mean, who's the customer that's buying this big system to backstop and mitigate these issues?
Well, I wouldn't want to give out specific names because I think that's inappropriate to do so.
But generally.
Generally, you're looking at gas stations. You're looking at not so much for the larger power class size, but you are looking at BESS systems and energy storage like the eSpire Mini going into very much so that this is already happening before year's end. The eSpire Mini is going to be going into Burger Kings and KFCs and things, not exclusively, but individual sites where you're looking at, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Where is DC fast charging going to go? Okay. It's going to go in places where, very convenient. So like fast food restaurants, killer, things of this nature. Coffee, like a Starbucks or something. Well, we don't have an eSpire Mini going into a Starbucks, but that's an individual location. So on the larger power class size, and I just want to put this in a frame this for clients, that are looking at this, where BESS systems are going to make sense for the EV space.
Okay.
Convenient, on the go, fast, because look, customers going to be in and out 15, 20, 30, really 15 minutes. Fast food makes a lot of sense. But as far as the larger power class, now you're looking at more, gas stations of this nature, but even larger, kind of more like rest stop area components. I think it's also, you could be looking at, post offices, things that did like government, a municipality place where you're going to have a fleet of, you want to think of like fleets of trucks, right? So wherever there's going to be, multiple DC fast chargers, and so start thinking about, okay, well, where would that be? Like, buses, like spots like that, where there's going to be buses, trucks, multiple trucks. It's that's going to be the client. And so you just start thinking about, okay, what operations, what potential businesses might have tons of trucks, right? That's all you got to kind of, it's not too hard to connect the dots there, but it's going to vary between both public and private sector in a sense, right?
Just imagine on every single corner where we currently see petrol stations, as they say in the UK, but literally on every corner, normally you see a gas station and there's still maybe a gas nozzle there or a diesel nozzle, but you have multiple EV chargers set up now for the same type of convenience. I mean, the difference obviously is I can gas up at home with my own electrical vehicle charger just overnight or what have you. But if everybody's plugging in their EV at night and maybe it's not a remote situation, now that the power company's got this gigantic surge even at night, right? It's amazing how energy storage is really going to make a big difference. So how do you feel about bidirectional? By the way, Matt Ruttenberg with us, Fortress Power, energy storage solutions, residential and commercial, industrial, available right here at Soligent. Click on the link below for your Fortress Power solutions. And, of course, stop on by their booth and get a free wristband to entrance for free into the celebration party at Top Golf September 13th at RE Plus in Vegas. Go by Fortress's booth, 3764, and get your free entrance wristband. But it's
I got to get my golf lessons going. I didn't even know about this Top Golf thing. So Josh, thank you for letting me know about our own event. I'm thrilled to try that out. I gotta work on my golf game. Okay. Sorry, but I didn't want to cut you off. So
no worries. No worries. It's the party, and this is, if you want to come, folks. Stop on by Fortress's booth, again, 3764, or come on by Soligent's booth as well, 5949, and get your free entrance wristband. It's going to be an awesome party. We're taking over the whole entire Top Golf. I think it's one of the floors where, there's drinks and food and fun and prizes, and Fortress Power is a co-sponsor for it. So we thank you for helping us put on this event to say thank you to all of our customers. Soligent is excited to partner with Fortress and some other co-sponsors as well. We're excited to have a great show in Vegas, but we're not just there to pass time. We're not just there to have fun. We're there to make a difference, and we want to help you. So email me, storage@soligent.net, if you'd like to find out more. Connect with Matt Ruttenberg from Fortress Power here with us today on the Beyond Emissions podcast. But just imagine, bidirectional is just around the corner when it comes to being able to draw out. That's what I want to know. What do you think about that? Electrical vehicles, you see them on the ads. Even Ford has one where they show the power going from the vehicle back to the house. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you drain power out of your car for your house? Granted, I guess it's nice it's there and you could have some emergency power briefly, but then you can't drive anywhere. Or you have less power to drive somewhere. I don't know where my thinking is on that bidirectional EV power going both ways. What's your opinion on that?
I think there could be some utility in validity there. I kind of like to think, though, that leave the best energy storage system, which batteries will degrade some, but and they're very long, very durable and long runway. But a standalone system at, say, some kind of like you were describing, which I think is beautiful. You're gonna have these like energy storage systems, whether it's ours or other folks. It's going to happen where you're going to have them in these EV chargers at gas stations. I think it's super helpful in emergency scenarios. If you have a big, Ford, whatever it is, that 150, pickup truck where it's got a good sized battery in it. I think in the absolute emergency situations, that's a great optionality to have, where you could go charge up and then go back to your home. God forbid, there's an issue there. But I would also say that look at it like this. You could get so then it's like, okay, the customer's going to their home because they want to charge up. They basically want to take the power from the battery in their car to then charge their house. But if honestly, I really think you're going to see a rapid deployment of home energy storage systems anyways, okay? So yes, you can look at the battery in the car as a battery, but I don't know that you necessarily want to...
Yeah, why would you cut your nose off to spite your face, right? Why would you take energy out of the gas tank, if you will, the electrical gas tank of your EV, take that energy out to run and power part of your house, and now when you go drive somewhere tomorrow, you're 25-30% less energy inside of your car battery because you used it at your home. It makes sense to me, and call me crazy, but wouldn't you just want to have your own? Although, like you said, in an emergency, it's cool, but that's not a big selling point for me. You're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul in a sense, aren't you?
Absolutely. And then furthermore, if it really is a critical thing where you're talking about a multi-day outage, and say it's in the middle of the winter where there's very little sunlight, or maybe it's raining, so now weather is interfering with potential PV that should be generating from your, it's a series of just events that happen and unfold. It's a nightmare scenario. It's the dead of winter. It's raining. There's no sun out. There's a multi-day outage. Well, shoot. Now, if anything, I want to be able to have the ability in my car to go places. If anything, I'm now thinking the battery in the car is just as valuable, if not more so, than what's happening in the house. So I would actually want to keep my battery in my car as fully charged as possible, so that I can now go out to scenarios in crazy emergency situations where I can get food, I can get other things, bring it back to the house. So and then right, and then additionally, there's generators. There's all different kinds of forms of power generation. We do this all the time where we size microgrids, where we think about this. Okay, If you are a commercial client and you are worried about backup power, where there's blackouts, and you're thinking about this, we have to size it appropriately so that your energy storage system works. What does that mean? Well, even though you're PV, we have to say, well, what happens if the weather is terrible right now? Okay, we now actually have to size the battery and do everything appropriately according to the loads of the facility, where we're bringing in a generator. We're bringing in a generator. It's called cycle charging it. And so what's going to happen is you're going to run everything you can off of your battery, your energy storage system. These systems run really long. They charge and discharge great. All you want to do is try to use this battery as much as possible. And that's not coming from a battery person. That's just, if you talk to people in the industry, they'll tell you the smarter way to think about a real off-grid, microgrid kind of a setup is you want to use these LFP batteries. Now, additionally, think of it like miles on a car, right? As it relates to a generator. All you basically want to do is you want to maximize your fuel burn efficiency, meaning, you're not really trying to power the generator. The generator, you want to use your battery, deplete it down to about, you don't take it down to 0%, so you take it down to about 10% or a 90% depth of discharge. And then if still there's no power, now you turn on the generator to power the loads while you're powering, and recharging the battery. And there's an additional rule of thumb where you kind of size your generator 20% bigger than all the critical loads that you would need, plus the nameplate rating on the bidirectional inverter. So, give you an idea. You take your average static load, daily load, whatever that is, you add that onto the nameplate power rating of the bidirectional inverter. So, give you a perfect example. We're looking at this right now. There's I'll give you a use case. Middle of the Midwest, there's a donut guy. They have a bunch of donut shops throughout the Midwest. There's a client, he goes, we have rolling blackouts. I want to be the one donut shop on the corner. The lights are always on. I don't care what it costs. Doesn't matter. This is how I'm going to get more customers. There's always rolling blackouts. I want to be the one donut shop. The lights are always on. Okay, great. So we look at the static loads, average loads of the facility per hour, and we get to something like 10 kilowatt hours. Okay, great. I'm sorry. It's like 10 kW of power. Now, additionally, we're using the Spire Mini, so it's a 30 kW nameplate power rating. So we take 30, we take the 10, 40, and then we multiply it by 1.2. So we're looking at it, and we go, okay, 48 kW. So you know what? You want a 50 kW generator, and this is just how you size these things appropriately. And so what's going to happen is, in a blackout scenario, when this happens, the eSpire Mini is going to be there. It's going to run. Hopefully, there's going to be, if it's the middle of the day, the PV is going to be shining, all of that. But the point is you have to prepare for scenarios where the PV isn't working and things of this nature. It's a weird little lesson I want to give you guys about how to size batteries appropriately with generator sizing. You want to take the nameplate AC power rating, add on the static hourly load, capacity, and then you want to multiply by 1.2. That's going to allow for the maximum fuel burn to make things run as efficient as possible, because you also don't want to put miles on that generator, right? You want the generator to do as little work as possible, burn some fuel. Hopefully it's a natural, an energy efficient or some kind of a green generator. That, those are coming out as well. So people that are worried about, they want to be more environmentally friendly, great. Anyways, that was a weird little thing I kind of wanted to.
Matt, you had me at donuts. All right.
Yeah.
You.
Oh man.
Donuts.
Let's go do Randy's Donuts. I love Randy's in Los Angeles. Can we go some energy storage for Randy's? By the way, if whoever's coming by the Fortress Topgolf thing, Josh, we got to have some sales assassins come in and try to sell Topgolf on doing microgrids for Topgolf. I'm just saying.
I'm telling you.
Some installers should come by, and do this. So
join us, folks, if you're going to be at the big event for Topgolf on the 13th. By the way, do you want to get a free wristband to come have fun with Soligent Fortress Power and thousands of people having a great time in Las Vegas for the RE Plus show, September 13th. Fortress's booth is 3764. I agree with you, Matt. If you're an installer who has a keen mind for business and you see the benefits that Topgolf can benefit from using a battery energy storage system available here at Soligent, Fortress, E-Spire Mini, or the 280. It is phenomenal, the different solutions that are available. You can join us and let's go talk to the manager there and make a presentation. Why not, right? I mean, strike while the iron's hot, right, Matt?
That's well, I think it's the right way to be thinking, like when you go to different facilities, start thinking about that, right? Like, okay. And immediately when you said Topgolf, absolutely, it's just one example of there's so many opportunities, facilities that are going to want these things, and it's the future, and it's a vastly underserved C&I market because you got full turnkey systems, but it's massive utility scale, projects, and there's all these commercial clients that are needing systems, whether it's protection from just backup power in case of outages, but really rising costs that are gouging them. The economy's not perfect right now. There's a lot of headwinds, that we're approaching. And with the cost of power, the cost of these, usury demand charges that are just, in my opinion, kind of criminal, the idea that the utility can charge you what they can, where you do one little spike of power over a 15-minute span for the entire month, and they charge you off of that peak. I
know it's robbery. I know
it's really messed up. It hurts. And for small businesses, here's an opportunity to you really got to look at these things. And the point is that it's only going to work for you if it makes dollars and cents. But there's companies like ours out there where we'll pull real pro formas to show you exactly how these things perform in the field. And actually, one thing to keep in mind is, there's a lot of third-party software systems that will, or like software that will do energy modeling and financial modeling. There's a difference, though. Those are third-party, companies that are doing this modeling, and they don't have any real connection to the systems that are deployed in the field that are actually doing the work. So why I do like companies like the one I'm working for is our microgrid controller and software and hardware package that's deployed in the field. That software that's inside our systems is the same software that's doing the financial modeling and the energy modeling. So it's very one-to-one. There's no mismatched expectations. Currently in the market, everybody goes out. I'm not going to say the name. Very good company. They go out to a player that does all this modeling and software, for everybody. The thing is that company doesn't have a microgrid controller. It doesn't actually have a BESS system that's deployed in the field. It's just kind of making these recommendations for a different company, and so it's not the same necessary the same logic or the same, it's definitely not the same hardware and it's not the same software. So it's something to just kind of keep in mind that sometimes there can be mismatched expectations. It's pretty good for sure, but there can be issues. So with us, what I do like is that another thing I think that makes Fortress great is that, our energy modeling and software modeling, it's the same software that's in the field.
Fortress Power available here at Soligent. Commercial industrial solutions customized for you and your company. Think about it. Your bills, your electric bills, they're going up and up. And even if you only have a 15-minute spike all month, that is what you're getting nailed for, like Matt said. So would you like to get a customized solution created just for you and your company so that you can save money and maximize on your investment. We can help you with that. Email me today, storage@soligent.net. That's storage@soligent.net. I will personally, I'm Josh Brum, Energy Storage Manager here at Soligent. Matt's my friend. Alex is my friend. Kyle, my friend. Jing, my friend, over at Fortress Power, available here at Soligent. We will schedule a personalized meeting for you and us and the folks and engineers like Matt and his partners over at Fortress Power to get with you and get that 15-minute interval data. Get the copy of your rate structure. What are your goals? What are you trying to what problems are you trying to solve? What are you trying to accomplish? And customize a system that will work for you. That's right, work for you, not just sit there, but will actually be working for you to get a return on your investment. We're all about it. We want to help you today. Email us, storage@soligent.net. Matt, I've had a great time having you on. If something tells me we just touched the tip of the iceberg, I want to have you back again, but the time is running out, so we've got to run. For our listeners who are interested in learning more about what Fortress Power has to offer here at Soligent, let them know, how do they contact you? How can they reach you? Let them know, Matt.
Oh, sure. It's very simple. It's Matt with 2 T's, last name, the first letter of my last name, R. So MATTR at fortresspower.com.
Excellent. Email Matt R at fortresspower.com. But I'll tell you what, folks, if you email me, storage@soligent.net, if you have that written down or what have you, I'll connect you directly with Matt and his team at Fortress Power. I'm excited to see you at the celebration on the 13th of September, Las Vegas, Top Golf. And again, go to Fortress Power's booth and get your free wristband for free entry for the party, a co-sponsor of the Top Golf celebration by Soligent. Fortress Power's booth, again, 3764. That's 3764 at RE Plus in Las Vegas coming up. And I look forward to seeing you there as well, Matt. I appreciate you being on the show today, brother.
Likewise.
Awesome.
Hey, well, thank you for having me. This was an absolute pleasure. I look forward to doing it again. I will see you in Vegas, Josh. I'm sure we'll be talking on the phone a lot before then. But I look forward to this, and I look forward to engaging with more of your clients and customers. Great opportunity in the space.
Matt Ruttenberg, Fortress Power, a partner and friend of Soligent and our energy storage goals of helping you thrive using energy storage in California, all around the world. I always say California because of NEM 3, but really all around the world. I mean, there's off-grid opportunities, you name it, battery backup, peak shaving, saving. I mean, we're here for you. We really are. Matt, hang on the line for our engineer, sir, and appreciate you being on the program.
Thanks. Will do. And thanks again, Josh.
Matt Ruttenberg, Fortress Power. I work with him on a regular basis, and he just impresses me like no other. So if you'd like to work with Matt and Soligent for your commercial industrial opportunity or residential opportunity, just reach out to me right now, storage@soligent.net. Email me now, storage@soligent.net. Another awesome podcast in the can for our historical reference, so you can always look back, check it out at the Soligent YouTube channel, also as well at Spotify and at iTunes. We're getting it out everywhere. I think it's going to be on Stitcher soon as well. Way to go. Right on. Soligent, the largest pure play solar distributor in the Americas. I'm Josh Brum, Energy Storage Manager here and host of the Beyond Emissions podcast. Until next time, have a great day.
We at Soligent are incredibly excited to announce our partnership with Give Power. Well, we wouldn't be here today talking to you about Give Power if it wasn't for our partners, LoanPal. They've been with Give Power since the beginning. Their contribution has given water and light to countless people across the globe. We are truly inspired by LoanPal's dedication to the cause. Something LoanPal said really strikes a chord regarding Give Power, that this is something that's more than money. It's what makes making money more worthwhile. In a lot of ways, that's synonymous with what we're doing here at Soligent.
Here's how you can help.
What we've decided to do is compound LoanPal's contribution by donating to Give Power on every order paid via our direct pay program through LoanPal. That's right. Every time your company uses your LoanPal portal to pay Soligent for material, 5 people get clean drinking water for a full year.
Together we're stronger.
Together, we can choose to be extraordinary by giving to people who live outside our reach. To us, this means a lot.
Soligent's purpose meets GivePower's mission. Join the impact. Soligent, Solar Engine. SolarEngineSolutions.com. Go there to find out more.